I, 26 male, will be breaking up with my girlfriend, 25 female, of 1.5 years today, and I would like some advice on how to focus on myself instead of the pain that is being caused in the short term. After nearly 1.5 years of being unhappy, I want to end my relationship with my girlfriend today. We started dating shortly after the pandemic began, and she moved in with me before we were even formally boyfriend/girlfriend. Title doesn't really important to me, but whatever. We began quickly and were definitely in the honeymoon period for the first 2 months, and then we had back-to-back weeks when she got physical with me and wrapped her hands around my neck. She's weak, so I easily took her off me. She became inebriated, began speaking improperly about our connection to everyone, and even grinded on one of my friends. Since then, the relationship has been poisonous and exhausting. We've split up twice for much the same reason. I'm fatigued from the work I've put into a relationship where it seems like I'm the only one putting out effort, and yet she continually sends me TikToks and other social media about how to love your spouse effectively, despite the fact that my needs have never been satisfied. For the longest time, I hesitated to ask for what I wanted, but I've gotten better, and oddly, my pleas are either received with annoyance or an alright that amounts to nothing. After our second split, she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, which I had been researching previous to the breakup and felt validated about. But after a month, I slid back into the poisonous comfort of being with her, and here we are. She continues to expect more and more from me, but there is only so much time in a day. I don't have my needs addressed, and there's been no sign in the previous 1.5 years that things will improve. In fact, they're becoming worse. The longer I remain in this relationship, the more harm it will do to my own development. Update. Hello once again, everyone. It's been approximately a month since my ex and I ended our relationship. During the split, I requested for space and begged her not to contact me, but she proceeded to push the boundaries by texting and phoning practically every day for 2 weeks. I banned her after about 2 weeks because she wouldn't stop and started sending me rude messages. I deleted Snapchat so I wouldn't be tempted to check it to see whether she had posted anything in our group conversation. I began rereading Daphne Rose Kingma's book, Coming Apart. This was the third breakup, not the first time I'd read it, haha. It's a useful book for navigating the end of a relationship. Being in the same buddy circle as her has been very difficult, but I've secluded myself until this past weekend. She turned up to events when she wasn't meant to and made them about herself. Shocking. I was able to distance myself, and some of my friends and family really came through for me, making me feel secure and loved. In any case, the book's exercises on going through the whole tale of the relationship are really beneficial. They come highly recommended by me. I had a run-in with my ex last night, which sparked a fury in me that I wasn't aware of, and I suppose this is the rage portion of the cycle. Her shenanigans are obvious. Unfortunately, she's a very horrible person, and I'm fighting with both anger at myself for allowing this to continue for as long as it did and anger at her for being a jerk who has no clue how to be introspective or have empathy for others. She always sees herself as a victim. The farther I go from her, the more obvious her deceptive techniques become and the more enraged I am. She has a playbook that I'll share with you below. She is a BPD narcissist, and what you read/watch online is pretty much the basic pattern. Not really, it makes me furious and sad. She's on the outs with many of my pals, but with the ones she's committed to, she's doing the following: being extremely kind and doing acts of service to make her seem caring, choosing friends who are too lovely for their own good, and using them as passengers to get her thoughts across. My over-under bet is that it will be a month before she reverts to her old self and begins gossiping behind their backs and being into everyone. Fortunately, numerous individuals in the group see this and do not trust her, so I may not have to deal with her forever. Part of me hopes for the best for her, that she would finally get the assistance she needs from a professional. Instead of taking her pills for a week and then forgetting about them, she really takes them. That she focuses on being sympathetic and seeing others as excellent in their own right, rather than as receptacles for her attention. But when I reread what I've stated in the past, I realize that this is only a projection of my own internal desire to constantly be better for myself and others. Yet there's no scientific evidence that she'd ever do it for herself. It bothers me, but I'm hoping to separate my emotions from hers while I combat my codependent addiction with her. On a brighter side, I have a date on Thursday with someone I've known for a long but am just now starting to know. She's a firm believer. I'm not sure where it'll lead, but I'm moving on and my ex isn't going to stop me. I'm finally clinging to my self-worth and recognizing that I'm not a nasty person who deserves to be mocked. I am deserving of something wonderful and kind. Nobody deserves to be humiliated. I hope that anybody battling with a narcissist may understand what I'm going through and know that their journey doesn't end just because someone else is tormenting you. You're a powerful person, whether you realize it or not. You've got it. And if you need assistance from an anon on the internet, anybody with a heart will be there for you. Story 2. How can I, 18 female, help my boyfriend, 19 male, through what I suspect to be trauma? I've been dating my boyfriend, 19 male, for approximately a year and a half. He is my best buddy and we have a really affectionate connection. He has supported me through my mother's cancer diagnosis and my seasonal depression, and we make things work when we are both busy or have other commitments. He is a very fantastic guy, and I adore him. During the summer, when I was at work, he texted me and asked me to come over after my shift. I was eager to get there, and when I arrived, everything seemed to be usual. We hung around for a while before cuddling, but things began occurring after he fell asleep. His pulse quickened, his breathing grew heavy, he began tossing and turning in his sleep, and he began murmuring in his sleep. I couldn't understand much of it, but I did hear a lot of no, 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 and something like 4 years, 250 days, all while writhing about and breathing heavily. I was afraid for him, and I'd never seen anything like that, so I simply held him gently till he began to quiet down. He settled down and flared up a few times before snapping awake and crying. After a few minutes, I attempted to ask him what was wrong and what was going on, but he refused to speak about it. I relented because I would never push somebody to discuss anything like that unless they were ready. He sobbed some more and told himself that good will always prevail, and that he remains joyful because he knows that. He said this happens roughly once a month in week-long periods. I had absolutely no notion. I hugged him and wept with him for a few more hours before heading home. I'm not sure what he's been through to trigger something like this, but I do know a few things that lead me to suspect he's been through trauma. I know he had a tumultuous connection with his father as a child. His family is okay today, but I know he has some troubles as a result of that incident. I also know that he was at a performance when it was bombed when he was in Europe. He didn't say much more, but that was years and years ago, and he's only mentioned it a few times in passing. He has previously said that his father, a former military member, suffers from PTSD episodes at night and that his mother helps him get through them. I'm not sure whether these items have anything to do with what he's going through, but they're my best estimates. I decided not to bring it up again since he didn't want to speak about it. However, he nearly had it happen again just tonight. We were hugging in the same setting, but this time I observed he got quite depressed. I asked him if there was anything wrong, and he replied there wasn't. Then he fell asleep briefly and started breathing hard, much as he did that night. When his dog began to bark, he awoke, but it seemed like it was going to happen again. We spoke for a while, and he said that he had been feeling sad recently. I inquired if it was work, and if it had anything to do with our relationship, but he just answered no, and that he isn't ready to speak about it yet. I stopped pushing and simply sat with him till I had to go. I tried to cheer him up and be there for him as best I could, but this kind of circumstance is so foreign to me that I'm not sure how I'm taking it. I suppose what I'm looking for is guidance on how to best assist him. It frightens me to see him like this, and I want him to be all right because he deserves the best. Any suggestions for assisting him in dealing with what I assume is trauma? How can I improve my performance during and after one of these instances in the future?